Welcome to the Outlier podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Conlin, and this is so exciting. This is the 100th episode of the Outlier. I have been doing this podcast since January of 2024. I know there's been a lot of changes. I have it on YouTube, so the format is ever changing, but I really appreciate everybody's support, and I'm so grateful to have you all as listeners and viewers if you watch on YouTube. But get ready for today. For the 100th episode, we have an absolute legend in the house. You know him for his iconic Grammy-winning hit, Bust a Move. I mean, that song rocked the charts back in the late 80s. I still listen to it. But guys, he is not a one-hit wonder, okay? He acts. He has done reality TV, and he does have a new song out. He is back on the Billboard chart after 22 years with a new song called Fun Part. And he talks about what the song means and what the title means. It's very interesting, but you're really going to enjoy him. He's great. His real name is Marvin Young, and we discuss a lot of stuff right now. Obviously, you know, I had to bring up Diddy. I had to bring up the music industry. And, you know, he makes some good points, but I've noticed that a lot of people that I interview, that I ask about Diddy in the hip hop community or the music industry, they generally tend to distance themselves from the situation in terms of like, they'll praise Diddy for what he's done for the music industry and for other people, while kind of just saying, yeah, it's a shame, to see what's going on. So it's a little top level. It's a little strong arming, I guess. I feel like I have yet to find somebody that gives me a thoughtful answer, if that makes sense. And this is not me dragging him, or this is not me insulting anybody, because I completely understand. But at a certain point, I want answers. I want to know what people actually think that have been around him in the past. I want real truth. But I'll get off my high horse because I am really excited for you to hear the interview with Young MC. He's a delight, and his new song is really good. I was listening to it pretty much all day yesterday. But okay, without further ado, I'm going to play my interview with Young MC, and then I will close us out.
Hi, Lauren.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Do people call you Marvin, like day to day, or?
Personally, yes. In an interview, I like my stage name as part of the interview. So if someone's listening, because they're not going to look for Marvin's music, they're going to look for Young MC's music. But Lauren, you can call me Marvin on a personal basis. Yes.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that. I meant to ask. I was like, how does he want to be referred to? No, I'm so excited to meet you. I am such a fan. You have had such a great career. I mean, obviously we all know Bust a Move, but now you have a new single out. So that is super exciting. Can you tell me about your new song?
Thank you. The song is called Fun Part. And it came from a discussion that I had with a DJ friend of mine where he said that he liked my music because I was able to cut through the BS and get to the fun part. Mm-hmm. And that a lot of times when an artist tries to express a lot of opinions, the more they try and say in a song, the less the audience hears in the song. So I always look at listening to music as an escape. Mm. So, if I can pull somebody out of their reality for 3 minutes, that I want to make them feel better at the end of the 3 minutes than they did at the beginning of the 3 minutes. So that's basically what Fun Part is. Oh. I have my AI character, Disco Teresa, doing my label tag and doing some hype person duties in the song. And it's a good, strong West Coast track. I love performing it. We charted on Billboard on top 40 again for the first time in 22 years. Yeah. So cool. It's been a really fun ride up to this point. I look forward to for it to continue.
Yeah, I listened to the song yesterday. It is really fun. It's very catchy. And I would expect nothing less from you, okay? But you've also described yourself as Switzerland. And I believe that is just in terms of, East Side, West Side, Death Row, Bad Boy. What do you make right now? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things. Before the big East Coast, West Coast beef that was happening with not only Tupac and Biggie, but just East Coast, West Coast in general. I learned how to rhyme on the East Coast. I wouldn't be where I am without the rhyme skills I learned on the East Coast. Having said that, I wouldn't have the career that I have without coming out on the West Coast. So I was able to see East Coast hip hop at a very early stage, and I was there for the infancy of West Coast hip hop. So I see the qualities of both, and I have friends, from both eras. Like Master G is a good friend of mine, and then I have, Ice-T is a good friend of mine. So and obviously Tone Loc and the guys that I've worked with. But point being is that I never really felt the need to take a side because I knew both sides, and I always see that in terms of conflict. The more you know about the other person, the less likely you are to have conflict with them, because there's most likely going to be some aspect of life that coincides with your own.
Right.
So when I call myself Switzerland, it's because a lot of times I'll meet somebody and I will have been told negative things about them, but I stand my ground and see how our relationship develops before I make any preconceived notions based on something that someone may have said out of bias to try and influence the way that I look at this new person. So in doing that, I've been able to develop relationships with a lot of good people. And I have friends, that I'm good friends with that may not like each other, but I try not to get in the middle of their dislike. I just try and use my like to try and lighten things up.
I feel the same way. I feel like you and I are similar in that world where I do try to form my own opinions. I listen to all sides, and I also just I like to stay out of things to a degree as well, which I think that you do an incredible job of just staying out of certain things. But
well, and also, Lauren, here's the thing: if someone goes out of their way to tell you something negative about somebody, what's the motivation behind that? Mm-hmm. If they really feel that they can stand on their negative opinion of this other person, they would have to assume that if you met that other person, that you'd have a negative opinion too. But if they're worried that their negative opinion may not be well informed, they'll try and push your opinion so they'll have some consensus in feeling negative about this other person.
Yeah.
I would say consider the source. That's how I approach stuff.
Oh, 100%. You know that I literally tell my kids that all the time. We have these conversations. My kids will tell me something and I'm like, who is the source of that information? Consider your source here. No, exactly. Honestly. And it really makes them think. My kids are young, but it really does make them think here. Who the hell is the source? And that's really good. I'm going to add that now. What is the motivation, right? What do they get by saying X, Y, Z? But what do you make, young MC, about all of the allegations right now against Puffy?
All I can say, it's unfortunate to see, and my hope is that too many people don't get damaged by all this if they haven't been damaged already. Mm-hmm. I haven't had any personal interaction, and I haven't heard any, personal stories or behind the scenes stuff or whatever. I know the music business can be crazy, and Denzel Washington had a thing that said he always said that he would leave the party early because nothing good would happen after 2. Yes. Right. and a lot, the saying would be nothing good happens after midnight. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate to see that out there because we're talking about a legendary person in our business that did a lot for a lot of people, and even having the allegations associated with his name is just, it's just sad to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the music industry itself. I always wondered about this. I think what I'm hearing now after these allegations about Diddy have been revealed, I'm hearing a lot of negative things about the music industry and a lot of things that maybe went down behind closed doors. You don't need to go into detail or anything, but do you feel that is true for the music industry? I mean, the same could be said about any industry, right? But this seems serious. This seems very serious.
Well, it is serious. You can say it about a lot of industries. You see it happening with the film industry and the proverbial casting couch and the like.
Yes.
But that goes both ways. So I've had friends who were executives in the music business that would have people walk into their office and offer, sexual acts
right.
to get to a certain place.
Okay.
I've heard, things where, they think they're in a relationship, but they're looking for a certain thing. So it's not like it's just a bunch of, Snow Whites walking into a predatory environment. There's a lot of people that get involved in the music business knowing full well what the environment is and wanting to take advantage of it too. Not saying that that's exclusive, but that exists. So knowing that and knowing that that's the pig pen that you're going to kind of walk into, you keep your eyes open on both sides.
Right.
Not only the executives or the people that you're talking to, but also, some of your fellow creatives, if you will.
Okay. I completely understand that aspect. Absolutely. I do feel like the aspects of the allegations of minors, most likely that, is out the window, but I 100% know what you're saying about it. It could be the other way as well at certain points. But again, that could be, said for the entire, many industries, not just the music industry. Right. So now I want to ask you, because you participated in reality shows, Celebrity Fit Club, where you
yes.
Yeah, I mean, you lost like 30 pounds, which is super cool. I've always had issues with VH1 and their exploitation of people in general. And, I have certain issues with TLC, but I mean, for me, it was Sober House. I was like, that is crazy, or Celebrity Rehab. What was your experience on Celebrity Fit Club? And what do you think about this type of reality TV?
Well, first things first, I have an opinion about this, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong since you're bringing up reality TV.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the evolution of reality TV has led us into our social media age. That all social media is an interactive version of reality TV.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. So starting there, one thing that occurred to me, because our season of Celebrity Fit Club was probably one of the most star-studded.
Yeah.
Like our cast was very well accomplished. It was amazing. Having said that, it became clear to me that there were people that were trying to get more out of it than was actually possible to get out of it. And all the reality TV show would do would be to allow you to do more of what you were doing before. No one's going to watch me lose weight on a weight loss show and say, okay, from that weight loss, I want to give him a record deal. I want to make him famous as a musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't add up. If you weren't doing that before, you're not going to do that afterwards on the show. So that kind of frustration. We're on a weight loss show where people are supposed to be losing weight and being measured for that. And there was someone that got there was a woman who got body enhancement surgery during the show, during the taping, that would add weight to her.
Oh yeah, Luann, Countess, right?
Because she felt that she would look better on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
I took it for what it was. The money I used to make a down payment on my house in Arizona, and that's where I live now. So that's where that's how I took it. It's like you take it for what it is. You don't make any more out of the praise they give you, and you don't make any more out of the criticism they give you.
Okay. So overall, it was another job for you. You were like, yeah, cool, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's a paycheck, essentially. You didn't feel exploited in any way because you were getting paid.
No, and ironically, and this is really going behind the curtain, but we would get into arguments that said, well, if you don't act a certain way, we're not going to show you a lot on the TV, and it doesn't really make sense. I said, well, if you want to take me out of the whole thing and take all of my images out, I'll gladly give the money back. Yeah. And then we never had the discussion again.
Totally.
So as long as you're not looking to be Mr. Famous and be Mr. Viral, if you will, then you take it for what it is. You get paid. You lose the weight on the show, which was the point of the show. I make a down payment on the house. I'm able to move, and I keep it moving. But I can't look at that and say, my career really shifted when I went on reality TV. It didn't. No. It probably formed the way that I look at social media. Because, there's people that make a big deal about having, a social media presence as a creative. And I can see the usefulness of it, but I don't think the people that rely solely on social media really have a leg up on the rest of us that have been doing brick and mortar for 30 years.
Yeah, and I am imagining the producers were probably super annoyed. I don't know, since it was a weight loss show, how much alcohol they fed you, but I know that, alcohol is a huge factor in all these reality shows, and they really seem to push these cast members to drink. So they say stupid shit, and so they act out, and they're mean, and so I'm not sure, but they must have been
Each
kind of annoyed that you didn't drink.
Yeah, and each season, well, yeah, we didn't have a ton of drinking on our show, but there was always someone in a lot of the seasons. I wouldn't say every season, but there was someone on each season, a lot of seasons that I watched that had a substance abuse issue.
Yeah,
They just and them dealing with trying to lose weight while they were dealing with the substance abuse issue was a story point that they highlighted in a lot of the seasons.
right, right.
You know,
Okay.
so like during our season, Jeff Conaway had gone away for to deal with the substance abuse stuff while he was on the show.
Yeah, I love him. I always root
And
for
we
him
only
too.
filmed for 14 weeks.
That's a long time. I feel like that's a long time.
No. But
I mean,
okay, every 2 weeks. All right, 8 episodes, 2 weeks apart.
okay, 8 episodes. Okay,
So
yeah,
you have
okay,
2 weeks to get you have 2 weeks to get your stuff together, and
right.
then appear on camera for a day or 2 days, and then you're gone for another 12.
Okay. Yes. Okay. That,
So
yeah, that
yeah,
that makes sense. Well, just to close things out, I wanted to ask you because I read that you grew up in New York City, but you went to Hunter College for high school. They have an incredible.
yeah, Hunter College High School, yes,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I think at this point they accept like 16 kids a year, if that. I mean, that's an incredible education, and that, I'm like, God, how do I get my kids in there? What was your experience there? And I'm kind of asking as a mom as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it's more kids now, but 3,000 plus kids took the test.
Wow.
250 or so got into the class, and only about 180 plus graduated.
Yeah,
And
no,
it started in
it's still
seventh
like
grade,
that.
went through 12th grade. Justice Elena Kagan went to my high school.
Cool.
Lin Manuel Miranda went to my high school.
Yeah.
Max Kellerman, a lot of big people in media,
Yeah.
and business and politics went to my high school. One of my high school classmates was an executive producer of The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. And
Yeah.
he's a good friend. Like as
Cool.
an homage to me, they did a 2-minute karaoke version of Bust a Move on Big Bang Theory, and it's one of the things I cherish. And I knew that it was my high school friend giving me a
That's
shout
so
out.
cool.
That's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
so I have fond memories of my high school because of stuff like that.
I mean, did you feel like it was challenging more so? Because I feel like the whole point of that school, it's for the gifted and talented, and it's super challenging.
It was challenging, but it taught me a couple things. Number one, I was always the smartest kid. I was in gifted classes all the way up through sixth and seventh, sixth grade until I got into Hunter in seventh grade. But I was confronted by dozens of people that in each class that were as smart, if not smarter than me.
Right.
So
Right.
it taught me humility, but it also taught me how to look at them and learn. I think half a dozen or more of my classmates from my year got perfect SAT scores.
Oh my.
So it's like being around a smart person was something that I had to get used to, but also I wasn't like these kids that are taking AP classes in high school and getting to college, and then they go to an Ivy League school and they get their brains beat in because
Yeah.
they're just accustomed to getting 5.0s on everything,
Mhm.
and getting that's my equivalent of a seventh place trophy. You know what I mean? It's like let's tell you how smart you are, even though you're not around smart people. And when you get around
Right.
smart people, you get your head bashed in. That's what Hunter taught me, is that I could be around smart people and tread, if not survive, as opposed to I'm always going to be the smartest person in the room, because you'll walk in a room and not be that. And
Well,
that's what Hunter taught me at 12, as
yeah.
opposed to teaching me that at 19. When I'm getting weeded out of my Ivy League school or getting weeded out of college.
Yeah, and I think that, just being at a school like that, your class already is an AP class. You don't have to worry about not, I feel like the regular
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's already pretty yeah, above average as it is. But I'm currently just looking in general at some schools across the city, and I do feel blessed that I live in New York City, and the public schools are amazing and everything is amazing here, but so many choices does stress you out. Am I right, young MC? Too many choices.
It does stress you out, but the thing is, you get them in a good place. You make sure they learn well. You make sure they learn new life skills, and make sure they leave New York City at some point. Not necessarily to live or not forever, but just to see how other people in other places live, so they can put their upbringing and their education in perspective. That was one of the biggest things for me. I go from New York to LA to go to college, and LA feels like a college town to me. Compared to the hustle and bustle and how tight everything is in New York. That meant a lot, because then when I left LA and I'm seeing the Midwest and I'm seeing the South and I'm seeing these other regions, I'm able to take some of what I learned in LA that's not New York and then take my New York hustle and apply that as well. And that really helped me.
I love that. That's really good advice, honestly. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to remind people you can download Fun Part on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify. You can watch the video on YouTube. It's a super fun song, and I'm so happy to see you back on the billboards.
Thanks. And if anybody wants to follow me, Instagram, YoungMC89. That's my handle. It'll be great to bring in some new followers.
Yes, I think I followed you yesterday, actually, when I was just going over something. So yeah, I'll make sure of that. YoungMC89. Well, thank you so much. This has been so fun for me. Oh my gosh. Talking to you was just a pleasure. So I hope that our paths cross at some point. All right, that was Young MC, aka Marvin Young. I definitely talk too much, but thanks for all bearing with me as always. I really, really enjoyed him. I liked a lot of what he said. The stuff about the music industry, sure, I get it. That does happen across all industries on both sides. But I think it's important to remember that when it does come to these allegations against Diddy, there's a lot of allegations brought forth by people that were minors. And it's just not a thing for minors to offer something in exchange for a music contract or just a contract in general. Sorry, it's not. But I can't speak for anyone and anything else. But yeah, I just had to get that out there. Anyway, if you like this podcast, don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you listen. I would love a review. Anything you want to say, I would be so welcome to it, as long as it's nice. And if you have criticism, that's also okay, but just make it constructive and not mean. All right, guys, I will be back later this week with another episode. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.